Good morning, monkey class. It's Teacher Carmel. I have a Bible story for you today about Moses. Now, we haven't really talked much about Moses. We didn't get a chance to before we left. Moses was a man of God, and he was very blessed and special because when he lived, very bad things were happening in his land of Egypt. There were people that were called the Egyptians that were enslaving God's people, the Israelites, for a long time. They had to do all the hard work for the Egyptians. They had to cook and clean for them. They had to build things for them. And they weren't free. And the Israelites were sad about it and tired and cried out to the Lord to be delivered, to be free from the Egyptians. And God heard their cries. And so he sent a man named Moses to lead them out of Egypt into a promised land. Well, many miracles, which are things that God does that can't happen unless God does it, like creating the world, creating you and I, coming back from the dead like Jesus did. These are miracles. We can't do those kinds of things, but God can, because he is all-powerful and almighty, and he is our creator. So many miracles happened during that time to try and persuade Pharaoh, which was the king of Egypt, to let God's people, the Israelites, go. And he was stubborn, and he didn't want them to go. And so many things happened. And one of the things happened when he finally let the Israelites go is in the story I'm going to read to you today. And what happened is the Israelites were leaving. They were escaping from Egypt, and they took their food with them, and they took their clothes with them, and they took their wagons with them, and they took all of their families and as much as they could carry, and they started to walk. And they got to the Red Sea, which was a huge sea. And the Egyptians started to chase after them, to bring them back, because Pharaoh changed his mind. He didn't want the Israelites to be free. He wanted to keep them as slaves. And they were stuck. They were in front of this sea, this great huge ocean, this sea called the Red Sea, and the Egyptians were on this side, and the Israelites were stuck. And they were crying out to God, "Oh no, God, oh no, we're gonna die." And Moses says, "No. God told me that he's gonna save us." And so God did. He told Moses to put down his staff onto the ground, into the beach, and we'll see his wonders. And what happened is he parted the sea, which meant the sea opened up, and there was dry ground in the middle. And the Israelites were able to travel through and walk for a long time through the dry ground, through the sea, and not get swallowed up by the sea and drown. And when all the Israelites passed through, the Egyptians started to follow. But God closed the sea back down, and the Egyptians were drowned. And that was one of the many miracles God did to save his people. So I know that was long. Here's a story in our Bible about it, because God writes to us about who he is, and it is the truth. And this really happened. It's called The Sea Rolls Back. God led the people out of Egypt by a pillar of cloud in the daytime at night. By a pillar of cloud in the daytime. At night he led them by a pillar of fire. He led them to the edge of a sea. Now the king of Egypt sent his army after the Israelites. God's people were scared. The army was chasing them, but they could not get away because the sea was in front of them. Moses said, "Do not be afraid. God will take care of us." God did take care of them. That night, God sent a strong wind to push the sea back. Then God's people could walk across the seabed. On both sides of them, the sea was pushed back. They walked across on dry land. The army tried to follow them. They tried to cross the sea too, but God made the water pour back over the seabed. The sea covered the whole army. God saved his people. And they all sang a song of thanks to God. Ian. So, God's always with us. He's always taking care of us. He sent Jesus to free us from sin. God is a good God. He loves you. And never forget that. He's with you. He loves you. He's going to take care of you. He's going to protect you. I love you too. Have a great day. Bye.